So we're going to add the leaves to the side branches. It's going to be fairly similar to some stuff that we did with just the side branches itself, adding it to the main branch. So what we're going to do is we're going to scatter some points on it, and then we're going to, of course, instance leaves on that. But we also need to make sure that the scattered points stick to the correct surface on the branch. So what we're going to do actually is we're going to scatter them on a static mesh. So we're going to time shift the mesh. Let's do that first. And we're going to deform it by the second input. So let's just do time shift. Let's delete the frames here. Let's put it to, like, let's say frame 200. So at least sure that's the end of the animation. I mean, I don't think it changes after that. You can put it whatever you want, as long as it's the like the final frame of the animation where it's going to be somewhat static. Oh, and by the way, we need to do that, of course, after we did the chops. So it's probably a good idea because, of course, we will need to, because of course our chops are gonna have some wiggle in them. So needs to have some of that. So let's let the time shift. Now let's scatter some points on it. Oh, and we only want to do this on the side branches, by the way. So let's make groups. So group. Just call this one sides. So maybe what we want to do just is after this time shift, let's put a delete. Just make this stuff a little bit bigger here. Let's put a delete and delete non-selected on the side. So we're only doing it on the sides now. We're going to scatter some points, just a couple. And now we're going to put a point deform. So what a point deform does, let me just put it down. Point deform. So point deform needs three inputs. It needs the geometry that you want to deform, so it will be our points. It needs a rest position, rest point lattice, and then a deform point lattice. So what it's going to do is it's going to, so around every point that we put in there, it's going to have a radius. You can see it over here, a radius. And then the amount of points around it that it should capture, kind of like a point cloud, if you understand what a point cloud is. So it's going to do that. And then if it finds something, then it's going to look at the static rest position of the second input. And it's going to deform it by the animation of the third input, if that makes sense. So let's put this thing in here. So the time shifted version, we're gonna put it, oh, by the way, let's do the delete before the time shift. Right, so we're gonna put the time shift, because it will be the rest point lattice. So that's the static version where we scattered the points on. And then the form point lattice will be the other one. Right, let's just have a look. This already seems like it works. Might need to, yeah, okay, we need to tweak it a little bit. So probably need to say, look for less points maybe. Let's have a look. So what it will do with the minimum maximum points, it's going to look around in a radius of around 0.1. And this is going to say how many points should it look for, and then it's going to sort of average out these positions. So it's going to ask its neighbors like, oh, what's your position? What's your position? It's going to average it out. So if you grab something too high, then it's going to ask for a lot of different positions, and then it's not going to work properly. So just need to tweak that a little bit, just make sure that it's somewhat stable. Like I have it now, it seems somewhat stable. Let me just increase my points, see what it does. This seems quite stable, right? All right, so now let's do our second trick that we did over here as well with the polyframe. So let's just grab our polyframe, I guess, from where do we have it? Here do we have polyframe. We're gonna have a polyframe. So let's put a null here maybe. So of course we need orientation for our leaves. So just the same as we did before. So let's just put a null here so we can put some stuff in between. Put the polyframe. So now these points will have normals. And let's just grab the stuff that we did here with the mixing. So where is it? Alright, it's that stuff over there. So I remember what we did is we randomized these the things a little bit, and then we blended between those. So we can just grab those, I guess. So this is yeah, let's do it like that. Burp. Input and that one. And alright. So I think we can probably randomize it a little bit more. It doesn't really have to bias in a certain direction. Gonna delete the bias. Right, so something like this. And maybe what we want to do is normalize, by the way, the output, because now it's a little bit difficult to look at because they're not completely normalized, what I'm thinking. Just normalize it. All right, so if you normalize it, it's gonna be, well, normalized between -1 and 1. So now they're all the same size. And now let's just load our little leaf in there. So let's go in here. And let's just grab our out from our alembic, or we can just grab our alembic itself. Doesn't matter, but we can just grab this one. Go into the plant and just put a object merge. Right, so we're gonna have this leaf. So that looks quite nice. And in this one we already have the chops. So the reason why we did it on the leaf separately is because if we load this into chops later, it's going to be super slow, because we're going to have a lot of different leaves, right? So we don't want to. Well, you can do it, I guess, if you maybe need it to be, I guess, more random. But I found it works quite well, just having these rollout dynamics with chops on the one leaf and then just copying it. So, but I mean, you can try it yourself. It's very slow if you have a lot of leaves to iterate on all of these different things. So I prefer to not do that. Right, so let's say copy 2 points. I'm gonna copy 2 points to the stuff pointer form. All right. Right, so that seems to work. Let's just merge it in already to our original plant. Where is it? Yeah, let's merge it in with our sweep. Let's hide the normals. Getting a little bit crazy here. I think that probably just has to do with what is it? With our animation. Let's just try with just copying a line to it. Okay, there's some weird stuff going on. Maybe we need to tweak the parameters a little bit. Let's have a look. So this seems fine. Oh, what we probably also need to do first is just let's carve a little bit on these things. So we don't want our leaves to appear on the very beginning of our branches, else they would be very close to the original things. Remember, that's what we also did before, so we're just carving. So then we're gonna have a specific point where we can sort of stick these. Alrighty then. Yeah, okay, that works. So the main thing is because it's starting to roll out here, right? So that's why it was looking a little bit weird. All right, let's just put our alembic on it again. And we can do our time offset, right, with the alembic frames. So let's just call this one set intrinsic. Just copy that and put it down there. Right, I'm gonna offset these this time a little bit. All right, something like that. Oh. And play. All right, it should be a little bit earlier, and of course they are still way too big. Okay, so we probably want, because now it seems like it's doing it based on, it doesn't really seem to have a random curve U. So probably what we want to do, let me just check my original file real quick. Okay, by the way, I didn't even need to change anything. It was just my settings here that weren't great. So it actually already makes already works quite well. So something we do need to change is we need change the P scales a little bit, because of course they're way too big down here at the end. So what we can do is, if we have, okay, so we have this curve here, and this thing should have a curve U. So we can probably say that, does it have a P scale already? It already has a P scale, but so it inherited P scale from the upper thing, right? Because we already have a P scale down here. Let's just do a wrangle and just say f at P scale times equals at curve U. All right. Maybe you want to ramp that. Channel ramp, my ramp, curve U. So look at it. See if it's actually doing what we want it to do. Okay, so it doesn't seem to use the curve U from the individual curves. So what we want to do here, I'm going to generate a new curve U attribute. So we're going to do, I guess, after the carve, let's just do a resample. Let's turn off maximum segments and just turn on curve U. So it won't change anything with the points now. It's just going to keep the points how they were. It's just going to create a new curve U attribute on it over here. Maybe we can call it curve U2 again, something like that. So we have them both. So you can see this is the original from the long one, and then we have the new one. So these are going to be for every curve. They're going to be 0 to 1, and the other one was like this. Right. So then in our ramp, let's say curve U2. All right. So it's going to multiply the P scale by the curve U2. All right. And this is going the wrong way. Right, so you can see now across the curve, they're going to get smaller. So they're getting smaller the higher they get, and they are also, maybe we don't want that, by the way. Do we want that? Do we want that? Let's just first set our P scale ourselves. P scale equals. Let's just see what this looks like. Okay, maybe we do want them to sort of be bigger. So maybe say at P scale times equals 3 in the beginning. No, just gonna keep it like that. Okay, I'm just gonna All right, I'm also going to do another ramp times equals channel ramp, my ramp, and also do it times the regular curve view. So that's the one that goes from the bottom to the top, right? Because that originated on the main branch, which was 0 on the bottom and then 1 down below, or we inverted that. But so my ramp 2. All right, gonna have a nice little ramp. Right, so then we also have control over how big they are at the bottom and the top, and then these ones are going to be so the top, my ramp is going to be for every individual branch, like how big they are at the start of the branch and in the end of the branch, and my ramp 2 is going to be the one, let me just show you again in case you don't understand what the hell I'm talking about. It's going to be from this original curve that we have, so it's going to be this one. So let's check it before we carve. So that one has a attribute called curve view from 0 to 1 across the thing. This gets inherited on all of the copies because we use it to make side branches, so it gets inherited there. So these inherit the curve view. You can see here, gets inherited. And again, that also gets inherited way down the line on your extra leaves. And again, if you were to do extra branches, like if the side branches had more branches, or something like that, then would also work like that. So yeah, we have some stuff here. Say, I guess, piece girl. And I do want them to be a little bit bigger at the ends. All right, just have a look. Probably want a lot more leaves, by the way. So just increase this. You can see it's quite fast because we're just doing it with, it's just copying, right? It's not really a lot of dynamics involved. Something like that. And maybe I just want to do an overall multiplier for the scale. Times equal channel float. So I'm just going to create another multiplier. Oh, maybe what we can do, instead of this, let's just do attribute randomize. Might make it a little bit more interesting. So let's do p scale. All right, just one dimension, let's say 0.8, and just use the global scale and then do multiply value. So we're just going to randomize the multiplied value. So we can sort of randomize this a little bit. All right. And probably from now on, it's mainly just tweaking some stuff that we have. But our main plant is technically done. So this is gonna think a little bit. So I'm just making these top branches a little bit longer. I can say I just want a little bit more branches. Let's just say let's do 22 or something. All right, looking good. Now let's change the sweep here, make it a little bit thinner. Let's just add a just for preview, just a color to the base or something. Green. And let's unpack the leaves, maybe, or maybe just what we can do is just go to the leaf. Let's grab our material we have. And just put it on there. You can see we have these leaves now having a material. And I'm gonna maybe say that we want our main branches to be a little bit longer. Maybe what we also want is to maybe add a little bit of noise somewhere, because it's a little bit static maybe on some places. So maybe add some noise to the overall shape of this thing, because right now, I mean, it's working. But you can use a little bit more randomization, right? So let's speed up.